Hi Shelby.
Hey Steve.
Comment ça va?
Ça va très bien.
Voilà, très bien. Moi aussi. Ça va bien. Ça va plus ou moins?
Plus.
Plus ou moins.
Quoi?
More or less. Plus ou moins bien. Plus ou
And
moins.
what's comme si, comme ça?
Comme ça, like this, like that. In other words, so.
Okay.
Comme ci, comme ça. You don't hear that much. Oui, ça va. Like if you're not tremendously great, you would say, oui, ça va. Something like that. Oui, ça va. Plus ou moins. Oui, ça va bien. Or, oui, ça va très bien. Like, wow, you know. Comme ci, comme ça, oui, you can say that. Comme si is like this. Comme is like, right? So comme ci, comme ça.
Like this, like that.
Like
but
that.
you said that people don't actually say that very much.
It seems to me I don't hear
context.
that as often, but maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
We always have some native speaker come in and correct or at least offer native speaker's perspective, which is good.
Yes.
So I want to talk a bit before we get into reviewing your, your lessons with you. And remember that there are 60 mini stories. You don't have to just do mini stories. You can do other things like your songs or your, Le Petit Prince or anything that, you're interested in. But I would like you to, make sure you knock back your 5 mini stories every week and review the ones you did earlier. Because again, if I look at my playlist, I've listened to those earlier ones 30, 40, 50 times. And then, so we're going to move past the first 20. In the second 20, we're going to speak a little mixed French and English. And then we're in 40 and beyond, we're only going to speak French. So that's kind of the progression. I just wanted to kind of talk a bit about the mini stories and why I think they have changed my whole approach to language learning. They have gotten me to speaking earlier. To me, the mini stories is first of all a place to get some, repetitive exposure to the nuts and bolts of the language, the most common verbs, the most common conjunctions, however and nevertheless and stuff like that. And to get some rhythm in the language. But it's not only that, it's also a place to review. So I have an interview in Italian tomorrow and I haven't done any Italian. So I'm going through the mini stories. And I have spoken lots of Italian. I've listened to audiobooks in Italian, I've read books in Italian, and yet when I listen to the mini stories for the nth time, I always pick things up. So once you've done a lot of the mini stories, you have a place, it's like your little language gym. You can always go back to it and work on things. So, but obviously each person is different. Now you were saying that the French mini stories, the voice is putting you off, right?
Yeah. We in a previous video, you and I couldn't even distinguish if that was the text to speech or if it was an actual person speaking. We've determined it is an actual person, and she speaks really fast, which I have a love-hate thing with, because speaking fast is natural. She's speaking, I think, the way she just would. So it's good practice for me. But then sometimes when I'm like yesterday, I was actually practicing saying back what she was saying, and it was hard for me to speak as fast as she did. Therefore, it didn't sound the same way. So yeah, like her voice is is a little bit tricky for me. So like I said, love-hate thing at the moment about that.
Okay. So,
but I do like the mini stories.
Okay.
They are. I like also that I get to practice questions because they are quite different than Spanish. Like that's kind of what I'm comparing it to.
Oh, absolutely. Qu'est-ce que c'est or whatever. Qu'est-ce que a-t-il dit?
Yeah.
But
those ones.
I know, but that's great. Now, a couple of bits of advice. First of all, I agree with you on the voice, and the voice has to be pleasant, and we have to like what we're listening to. And the quality of the voice, just the person's voice. We like some people's voices better than others. And if we don't like the voice, that's a big negative. The speed thing as well. Now, I can remember when I started learning Chinese, the guy was speaking so fast. It was annoying. I was angry. I said, are you doing this to torture me? Like, what's going on here? But eventually I got used to it. But I must say, when I had the Greek mini stories done, this tremendous guy in Greece who was quite reasonable, he went through them so fast, I said, please redo them slowly. Because actually, when you're getting started, And even in terms of wanting to notice the language or wanting to repeat, slower is better at first. You'll have plenty of time to interact with fast French. So I'm going to look into our French mini stories and maybe we redo them more slowly. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I know I have the option, there's a slow down button, so I can play the audio more slowly.
I never use that. It sounds
I haven't.
you know,
It doesn't sound as natural.
No.
But I do love, I don't know if we've talked about it on this series, but there's a YouTuber named Hugo Cotton, and he does this inner French.
Yep.
And he speaks really slowly, and so it's a nice balance. So I'll watch some of his videos too, and I'm like, oh, like that's what it sounds like to pronounce every.
Exactly. And when you repeat, are you in sentence mode and then repeating them there, or are you just repeating? Yeah. So that's again something we talked about, which is quite useful to do. And I was doing it in my Italian just now. But the Italian, she speaks so slowly. That's, by the way, something you have to look forward to, Shelby, because once you got your French done and with your Spanish, you know, in your pocket, you can go after Italian.
Might as well.
Yeah. But so we may have to redo the French mini stories because that's very important. People start with that. And,
I would be curious to know if anyone who watches these videos, what you guys think about the voice of the French mini stories.
Okay, so the importance of the mini stories we covered, and the importance maybe of making sure it's slow enough and that the voice is pleasant. Very, very important points.
Here we are in my mini stories.
Okay.
Mini story 9. Or 10?
Sure. Just before you get going, just to show people that you've been through these, we've got zero blue words. So you've converted all your blue words. And we have varying numbers. I guess 14 was a bit tough for you. You've got 18, 16, whereas 15 was easier. The yellow words are the words that you have saved, and you don't yet feel comfortable that you know them, which is fine, which is a typical pattern. That's exactly where I would be.
Yeah. I don't want to rush it.
Absolutely. I like keeping them there. They show up. I can review them. I'm reminded of them. I don't like to kill off my yellow words. I can always bring them back, but it's useful to have them there.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially because, you know, they're going to show up in the review. And of course, I haven't really spent much time doing the actual review at all. So I started this week to try to do your method, which is just to do the review when you turn the page.
Right.
And I'm really liking that because it's a good way to sort of solidify a little bit more what you just read and not waste too much time on the flashcards, because it gets very repetitive and boring to just do flashcards.
Exactly. And again, my approach to flashcards is just that they're another form of exposure. It just introduces a variety in terms of the form of exposure that we have, right?
Yeah.
I don't try and scratch my brain. If I get it wrong, I get it wrong. It's just flipping through them.
Yeah.
And I noticed, by the way, that you see the little thumbs up. So different people have liked these stories, 64 people, 52 people. And unfortunately, most people begin with a lot of enthusiasm and then they become less enthusiastic. So in most courses, the first few lessons have a lot of thumbs up and then we get fewer and fewer. Oh no, number 6 got a 95, a 171 for you see at the beginning.
Look at that.
Oh yeah. You see, so that's
to 289.
Now I don't know if people lose interest or they just stop giving it a thumbs up. We don't know because after a while, maybe. So anyway,
I haven't been giving any of them a thumbs up because I'm so lost in my in the grammar and vocab that I've been distracted. But I like all of them. I'll go back and give them all the thumbs up.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Jump into whichever story you want.
Let's go into, I think we touched on 9 last time. So let's go into 10. 10.
Okay.
All right. And we're doing sentence mode. All right. Time for me to pronounce it?
Sure. If you want. You want to translate? Offer the translation for people who are following?
Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jack va un soirée d'anniversaire.
Voila. Now, what is always going to be a problem, not always, but for a while, is going to be the ooh.
I know. As soon as I said it, I thought of the ooh.
It comes with time. Like, don't even worry about it. And particularly when you're going, Jacques va une. So it's not, if it started like une soirée, okay, you'd have an easier time. But when you're actually in the middle, it's like a 100-yard hurdle race or something. All of a sudden, you got to do this thing. So it's tough.
Yeah, and especially with the girl who narrates this one, she says it so fast. I'm like, how can I thought of you. And the ooh.
Let's listen to her.
Okay.
Jacques va à une soirée d'anniversaire.
Yeah, she's very fast.
So natural for her.
But we're going to do something about that. We got to try and get someone to do them a little slower. Okay, but other than that, no particular issues?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
That I guess.
Okay, so une soirée is an evening, but a party as well, right?
Yeah, I had to double check that one because
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if.
Let's see what they give us as meaning if you click on soirée.
Yep, I got evening.
Evening and party. Yeah, okay.
But also, ce soir is this
Yeah.
evening, right?
This evening, yeah.
So soirée would also soirée.
Soirée is more of a party, but like an evening, like if you went to someone's place and you had a very pleasant evening, you say une belle soirée.
Oh, okay, so evening,
Yeah.
kind of like the event of the evening.
The event of the evening. But you might say it's a belle soirée, like possibly if it's a beautiful sunset, or it's just a slightly different meaning of the word soirée.
I love that.
But, yeah.
I love learning words that don't have like, the perfect translation
Correct,
to another language. Yeah.
Okay. Well, one other thing, so go back a step there.
Mm-hmm.
Like anniversaire, do you think that's masculine or feminine?
I think it is masculine.
Correct. The tendency is you see an E, you'll get used to seeing so many nouns in French that end in E that are feminine.
Mm-hmm.
You might be tend to think that anniversaire is feminine. That's where you have an advantage because you just think of Spanish.
Right. That's what you taught me last week.
Yeah,
so I was like,
all right.
What is it in Spanish?
Right.
It's a good trick. Thanks for that.
Okay.
One. All right. Il a besoin d'acheter un cadeau pour Marguerite.
Voilà. Il a besoin, which is, of course, a very important
term or phrase.
A besoin, which we don't find in the other Latin. In Italian, they have bisogno, but they use it differently. So, il a besoin is very French. So, say it again.
Il a besoin d'acheter un cadeau pour Marguerite.
Voilà. Il a besoin d'acheter. Now, try, acheter is fine, but acheter is better. Like the disappears.
D'acheter.
Acheter.
Acheter.
Like apostrophe, acheter.
But then you also have the D there. So
well, okay,
acheter.
Besoin d'acheter. D'acheter. What I'm saying is...
Il a besoin d'acheter.
D'acheter, voilà. Acheter un cadeau.
Un cadeau.
So, and typically speakers of Spanish and Italian, they tend to pronounce the E. They tend to say acheter because they're used to pronouncing that in their language, right? But in French, the often kind of disappears, like the schwa, which they teach in English. Like you don't hear it. Il a besoin d'acheter un cadeau pour Marguerite, which they translate as Meg for some reason. Anyway. Oh no, it's reversed because it was written in English, and so the translator changed Meg, which isn't a French name, to Marguerite. Okay.
My mom's name is Meg. Well, it's her nickname, and it's short for Margaret.
Okay, so that's why they translate. That makes sense. Okay.
Cependant, Jacques ne va pas souvent en soirée.
Voilà. So here again, no matter what I say, the reverse is also true. Rarely would you say cependant. It's cependant. There you actually hear the cependant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess it depends on where the stress is. Cependant, cependant. Here they put the though in English at the end, but cependant at the beginning. Nevertheless, cependant is very common conjunction. Very useful.
Right. All right.
En soirée. Okay.
Il est nerveux et se demande quoi acheter.
Mm-hmm. Il est nerveux et il se demande quoi acheter. Se demande. What do they give you as meaning for se demande?
I got wonders. Oops.
Correct. Exactly.
I love that because, of course, se demande, like I could easily understand that as he asks himself.
right?
which is kind of the same thing as wondering, right?
Exactly.
So I love that.
But that's what it is. Je me demande, I wonder, je me demande, je me
Mhm.
demande, I wonder. That's used all the time. It's a very useful
It is
phrase.
very useful, yeah. And I
Yeah.
love it because Spanish doesn't really have like an I wonder
Mm-hmm.
statement. It's more just using the subjunctive tense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I mean, we could go on through the whole lesson here, but you have to go through and explore on your own. We just go in there to pick out a few things, sort of a random, sampling of things, and then you
Exactly.
continue on. Okay.
All
That's
right.
good. Bye-bye.
Merci beaucoup.
De rien, de rien.